Welcome back to the Tip Top Auto Shop. Today we're going to talk about the air conditioning in our preventative maintenance and checks and services. We kind of talked about the air conditioning system and how it actually works inside the car versus the ambient air temperature outside, and how basically we can bring cold air inside the car, which is like 30 degrees difference from outside to inside. So here we're going to start with the center of where the refrigerant is stored. This is called an accumulator. In the accumulator you can see the refrigerant. Now on a normal system, the accumulator is not clear like this, so you really wouldn't see it. You would just see a metal container like this right here. But for demonstration purposes, we have our accumulator here, and you can see the green covered, the green fluorescent dye that's built into the refrigerant is in the system. Now if I shut the system off, you can see it kind of build back up inside here. You can see that there's no movement between the fluid. You can see the pressures kind of coming down and so on. So I'm going to turn this back on, get our refrigerant cycling back through. And how the refrigerant gets cycled through is by this air conditioning compressor right here. So we have to compress the fluid in order to get it to transfer through the system. Now, Pascal's law says that we can't compress a liquid, so we have to compress a gas. So that's why liquid is on one side and gas is on the other. So we're going to talk about how it goes through these different systems. And but before we get there, though, we're going to take and talk about these different types of compressors. So here I have what they call a scroll type compressor. Now if you take a look at the scroll type compressor, you can see inside here this compressor kind of move, and I'm going to rotate that around. As this thing moves around, it kind of compresses the gases inside of here. So basically I'm going to move that around, and you can see it compresses, and as that compresses the gases go in and out through our suction and pressure ports. So basically this is a cutaway view of that. Now this is one type. This is a type that's used quite a bit on hybrid vehicles such as Toyota Prius. The Tesla vehicle uses this type of compressor, which actually operates electronically. Now, what we have here is this one is a variable displacement type compressor, and as we turn this is a swash plate. It moves the pistons back and forth up against these reed valves. So as the reed valves are pressurized, and as it draws back, it draws the air in. As it goes this way, it compresses the gases, and basically this thing moves back and forth. Now there's a lot to it. That's just how it moves the refrigerant through the system, through these different types of compressors. So to talk about this again, you have to kind of understand that on one side of this is liquid, and on the other side is gas. So again, we can't compress the liquid because it's like a syringe. You know, you fill it up and then you have liquid in there. You can't compress that liquid. That liquid has to go somewhere. So gas you can kind of compress, just like the 4-stroke cycle of the gasoline engine. So we're compressing the gas, which is now pressurized. As it pressurizes, we heat up like a bicycle pump. You know, if you've ever taken a bicycle pump and moved it real fast, you know that the end of the tip of the bicycle pump, the air nozzle gets kind of warm. So that's because the air is creating friction as it's compressed. So this is hot. So everything on this side is hot and everything on this side is cold. So as we compress our gases, this hot temperature goes through what they call a condenser. Now the condenser is mounted in front of a radiator, and it has these fans that are in front of it, that draw the air through. And as it draws the air through, then basically it removes the latent heat from the refrigerant. And as it goes through this process, removing the heat, you can see that it goes into a gas and a liquid state as it goes through these lines. So it's still partially a gas, but as it starts traveling up through here, it kind of goes into more of a gas and a liquid state, as you can see right here. And when it goes across this pressure differential, which is called a fixed orifice tube, it has a variance of pressure. What happens is it now goes to a cold state. So you can see that this side is very hot and then this side is very cold. So basically you can see there's moisture on my fingertips on this just by running it across the line. This is actually starting to freeze over here because it gets really cold. But this side is really extremely hot. There's no condensation on this line right here because it's the high pressure side. So low pressure side, basically what happens is it goes through a pressure differential. As you can see, basically we go from a liquid to a gas state, and again it starts going through here. Now as it's a gas again, it goes back through here. Now it's a cold gas, and as it goes through here, you can see that basically it's traveling through these fins. Now if I put my hand in front of this right here, it's very cold because basically what's happening, that pressure differential and the refrigerant that, going through here has made this extremely cold. It's about 85 degrees in here, so it's about 60 degrees, 65 degrees coming through here. And let's see, these batteries are out on this. It usually shows the temperature here. So as we go through our evaporator, which is inside the car, there's a fan blowing through the registers, and that's how you get nice and cold. So as the refrigerant's traveling through here, then the warm air that's inside the car is now attracted to the gas. And so basically it goes up through here, goes back down through the bottom, okay? And then it travels through and it's back in a gas state. It goes back into the compressor and it's pressurized and it goes through. Now, as the gas is going through this system, it's cold on one side of the compressor and comes out hot on the other. And as it travels over here, this removes the heat, and that's how it just goes through this cycle again, in and out, in and out. And so you just got to know that the evaporator is inside the car, the condenser is outside the car, the compressor is outside the car, and so is this accumulator. So the refrigerant travels through the evaporator, bringing cold air inside the car and absorbing the heat inside the car into the refrigerant, travels through the compressor, back through the condenser. As it goes through the condenser, it basically goes through a fixed orifice tube and changes from a high pressure state to a low pressure state, cooling and heating, cooling and heating, and that's our air conditioning system. So tip top auto shop.